I was staring at my phone screen when the wine glass slipped from my hand and shattered across the white kitchen tile. $22,000. That was the exact amount I had transferred 3 months ago for our family trip to Hawaii. The trip that was supposed to heal us, bring us together after my divorce tore everything apart. And my mother's voice, casual as if she were discussing the weather, echoed in my mind like a death sentence. Oh, we went last week. Just family. Just family. I stood there in my Buffalo apartment, watching the red wine spread across the floor like blood, thinking about those 2 words. Just family. As if I wasn't part of it. As if the woman who had paid for every single expense, who had spent nights researching the perfect beachfront resort, who had booked the sunset dinner cruise and the scuba diving lessons, wasn't family enough to be invited on the trip she had funded. My hands were shaking as I called her back. The phone rang 3 times before she picked up, and I could hear it in the background. Ocean waves, seagulls, laughter. They were still there, probably sipping Mai Tais on the lanai of the suite I had reserved. Mom, what are you talking about? I booked 4 tickets. 4 people. If you're wondering how a daughter could be excluded from her own family vacation, stay with me. Hit that subscribe button because this story gets worse before it gets better. And trust me, you'll want to hear how I made them regret every single decision they made. Let me take you back to where this really started. 2 years before that phone call. Before Hawaii. Before everything fell apart in the most spectacular way possible. My divorce from Marcus had been finalized on a Tuesday in February. I remember because it was snowing. And the courthouse steps were so slippery I nearly fell twice on my way out. I had given up our 4-bedroom house in the suburbs, moved into a modest 2-bedroom apartment downtown, and thrown myself into my work as a financial analyst at Sterling & Associates. The irony wasn't lost on me that I managed other people's money for a living while my own life was in shambles. But I had my family. At least. That's what I told myself during those long nights when the apartment felt too quiet and the future seemed too uncertain. My mother, Marianne, my father, Thomas, and my younger sister, Erin. They were my anchor, my constant, the people who would always be there. Or so I thought. The calls started innocently enough. Mom would phone on Sunday evenings, her voice tired and strained. Louisa, honey, the electric bill this month is just impossible. Your father's pension doesn't stretch like it used to. I would pull up my banking app without hesitation. $500 transferred. Don't worry about it. Mom, that's what family does. Then it was Dad's car. The transmission was failing, and he needed it to get to his doctor's appointments. $2,500. I skipped buying the new winter coat I needed and wore my old one with the broken zipper instead. Erin was next. She was taking online courses to finish her degree, and her laptop had died. Then her rent was overdue. Then her phone bill. Then groceries. Then her car insurance. Each request came with the same script. Variations on a theme. Lou, I'm so sorry to ask, but I don't know what else to do. You're the only one who can help. And I helped. Every single time. Because that's what love looked like to me. Sacrifice. Giving until it hurt. Proving that I was valuable. That I was needed. That even though my marriage had failed, I was still worth something to someone. I was working 60-hour weeks. Living on frozen dinners and instant coffee. Turning down invitations from friends because I couldn't afford to go out. Janet, my best friend since college, had stopped asking me to join her for our monthly dinner dates. You're always too busy or too broke, she'd said the last time. What's going on with you? But I couldn't tell her. How could I explain that I was choosing my family over my own well-being? That saying no to them felt like admitting I was selfish. Like proving everyone who whispered about my divorce was right. The idea for Hawaii came to me on a particularly brutal day in March. I had just closed a major deal for a client, earning the firm a substantial commission. And my boss had hinted at a promotion. I was sitting in my car in the parking garage, exhausted but proud, when my phone buzzed. It was a photo from Erin. She was at a restaurant with Mom and Dad, all 3 of them smiling at the camera. The caption read, "Family dinner, wish you were here." Something cracked inside my chest. When was the last time we had all been together? When was the last time I had seen them smile like that? An idea formed. Desperate and hopeful. A trip. A vacation where we could reconnect. Where I could show them I wasn't just a checkbook. Where we could be a family again. I spent 2 weeks planning it. I researched resorts. Read hundreds of reviews. Compared prices. I wanted it to be perfect. The Maui Sunset Resort had an ocean view villa, a private beach, and a 5-star restaurant. I booked excursions, a sunset cruise, snorkeling at Molokini Crater, a traditional luau, a helicopter tour of the island. The total came to $22,000. It was everything I had saved since the divorce, plus a chunk of my recent bonus. But when I imagined their faces, imagined Mom's surprise, imagined Aaron's excitement, imagined Dad actually relaxing for once, it felt worth it. I sent the confirmation emails on a Friday afternoon. 3 separate messages, one to each of them, with all the details. The flights leaving in 3 months. The villa reservation. The itinerary I had carefully crafted. My message was simple. I wanted to do something special for us. After everything that's happened, I thought we could use some time together. I love you all. Mom's response came within an hour. A heart emoji and 3 words. Got it. Thanks. That should have been my first warning. Not, this is amazing, or you shouldn't have, or even, are you sure you can afford this? Just, got it. Thanks. Like I had sent her a reminder about a dentist appointment. But I ignored it. I was too invested in my fantasy of what this trip would be. I pictured us on the beach, talking late into the night. I imagined apologies and reconciliations, even though I wasn't sure what we were reconciling. I just wanted things to be okay again. The months passed. I continued sending money. Aaron's rent was always due. Mom's medication was always expensive. Dad's car needed new tires. Then new brakes. Then a new battery. I was living on ramen and peanut butter sandwiches. But I told myself it was temporary. After Hawaii, everything would be better. I tried calling them to discuss trip details. What activities were they most excited about? Did they need help packing? Should we go shopping for beachwear together? But every call went to voicemail. Every text got 1-word responses. Busy. Later. Sure. 2 weeks before departure. I received a group text. It was from Aaron. Change of plans for the trip. We're thinking of going earlier. Work schedules and stuff. My stomach dropped. Earlier, but I can't change my time off. I've had these dates blocked for months. No response for 2 days. Then, from Mom, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. But I did worry. I called the resort. Confirmed all the reservations were still in place. I checked the flight confirmations obsessively. Everything was booked. Everything was paid for. 4 people. 7 days. Villa 12 with the wraparound balcony. The Thursday before we were supposed to leave. I texted the group. Who's picking me up for the airport? Should we all go together? Silence. Friday morning. Guys, flight is Sunday morning. What's the plan? Saturday afternoon. Getting desperate. Mom, Dad, Aaron, please respond. Nothing. Sunday morning. I was packed and ready by 5 a.m. Our flight was at 10. I called Mom. Voicemail. Dad. Voicemail. Aaron. Voicemail. By 8 a.m. Panic had set in. I called the airline. Yes. Ms. Mercer. I see 4 reservations under your confirmation number. 3 passengers have already checked in for the flight departing this morning. 3? Which 3? I can't give you specific names, but I can confirm you are not one of them. The room tilted. I sat down hard on my couch. Phone pressed to my ear. But I paid for all 4 tickets. Yes, ma'am. But only 3 were used for this flight. The 4th ticket in your name wasn't used. I hung up. Checked my email with trembling hands. There it was. Buried in my spam folder. A notification from the airline from 3 days ago. Reservation change confirmed. Passenger Louisa Mercer removed from flight. No refund issued due to booking policy. They had removed me from my own trip. I called Mom again. This time, she answered on the first ring. I could hear the ocean immediately. The sound of paradise I would never experience. Oh, Louisa. Hi, sweetie. My voice came out strangled. Mom. Where are you? Hawaii. Didn't we tell you? We decided to come a week early. It worked better with everyone's schedule. Everyone except me. A pause. Well, you're always so busy with work. We figured you couldn't get the time off anyway. I had the time off. I booked the time off months ago. For this trip, that I paid for. Oh. Another pause. Then, unbelievably. Well, we're here now. It's beautiful. You really did pick a great place. Something inside me snapped. It was a quiet sound. Like a thread breaking. Mom, I need you to explain something to me. Why wasn't I told you were going early? Why was my ticket canceled? Why am I sitting in my apartment alone while you're all on vacation? Louisa, don't be dramatic. We just thought, after everything with Marcus, and you being so stressed, it would be good for the core family to have some bonding time. Just the three of us. Just family. There it was again. Those two words that excluded me from the very people I had sacrificed everything for. I paid $22,000 for this trip. Mom. And we really appreciate it. Honey, your father says the view from the balcony is incredible. I was going to be sick. I have to go. Okay, sweetie. We'll send you pictures. I sat there for a long time after hanging up, staring at nothing. The apartment was completely silent except for the sound of my own breathing. $22,000. 2 years of helping them with every expense. And I wasn't even worth a phone call to tell me I wasn't invited. I walked to my kitchen and poured a glass of wine. That's when Mom called back. And that's when I dropped the glass and watched it shatter. Just wanted to let you know we're all safe. She chirped. The resort is even nicer than the pictures. Oh. And Erin wanted me to ask. Can you send her rent money a few days early this month? She's got some extra expenses from the trip. The audacity. The absolute audacity. No. I said. What? No. I'm not sending Erin's rent money. I'm not sending anything. Mom's tone shifted immediately. From cheerful to sharp. Louisa, don't be childish. Your sister is depending on that money. She's depending on it? Like she depended on being invited to Hawaii? That's different. This is about her housing. And Hawaii was about family. But apparently, I'm not family. I'm just a bank account. How dare you? After everything we've done for you. I actually laughed. It was a horrible sound. Everything you've done for me? Mom. Name one thing. One thing you've done for me in the last 2 years besides take my money. Silence. That's what I thought. When you get back from my vacation. Lose my number. I hung up. Then I blocked all 3 of them. Mom. Dad. Erin. And then I got to work. I had spent my entire career managing money, protecting assets, making smart financial decisions for others. It was time to do it for myself. I opened my laptop and pulled up my bank account. Every automatic payment I had set up for them was right there. Erin's rent, sent on the 1st of every month. Mom and Dad's electric bill. Dad's car insurance. Erin's phone plan. The family Netflix account. Mom's prescription auto delivery. One by one, I canceled them all. Each click felt like closing a door. Click. Erin's rent. Canceled. Click. Electric bill. Canceled. Click. Car insurance. Canceled. My hands were steady now. The shock had crystallized into something cold and clear. Determination. Next. I called my bank and scheduled an appointment with my financial advisor for Monday morning. I need to secure all my accounts. I told them. Change passwords. Add 2-factor authentication. The works. Are you concerned about fraud? The advisor asked. You could say that. Monday morning. I was at the bank when they opened. My advisor, a kind woman named Patricia, reviewed everything with me. These accounts are now completely secure. The only person who can access them is you. Perfect. One more thing. Can you recommend a good locksmith? By Monday evening, my apartment had new locks on every door and window, a chain lock, a deadbolt, and most importantly, a Ring doorbell camera with motion detection. I tested it twice, watching my phone screen as it captured every angle of my front door. I felt safer than I had in years. They called on Wednesday. All three of them. One after another. Like they'd coordinated their attack. Aaron first. Lou. I don't understand. My rent didn't go through. The landlord is threatening to evict me. That's unfortunate. What? Can you just send it now? I'll give you the new account number. No. Aaron. I can't. What do you mean you can't? You always send it. I mean, I won't. You went to Hawaii without me. You didn't even tell me you were changing plans. So now you can figure out your rent yourself. You're an adult. Are you seriously being this petty? Over a stupid vacation? It wasn't stupid to me. It was everything to me. And it wasn't just about the vacation. It's about the fact that you've been using me for years and couldn't even be bothered to include me in a trip I paid for. Oh my God. You're insane. Mom was right. You've completely lost it. Maybe I have, but I've also lost you. Goodbye. Aaron. I blocked her number before she could respond. Dad called next. His approach was different. Gentler. More manipulative. Pumpkin. What's going on? Your mother is very upset. I'm sure she is. Dad. We need to talk about this situation. We're a family. Are we? Because just family went to Hawaii without me. A long sigh. We thought you needed space after the divorce. We were trying to help. By taking my money and excluding me, that's not help. Dad. That's theft. Now that's not fair. You offered to pay for that trip. And you accepted. Then you removed me from it without telling me. Do you have any idea how that felt? I understand you're hurt. But you have to see it from our perspective. Your mother and I are elderly. We can't keep up with your drama. My drama. 2 years of funding their entire existence was my drama. Here's my perspective. Dad, you're adults. You can get jobs. You can downsize. You can live within your means like everyone else. I'm done subsidizing your retirement. You're making a mistake. Louisa. Family is all you have. Then it's a good thing I'm figuring out who my real family is. I hung up. Blocked him too. Mom called last. She was furious. What the hell do you think you're doing? Do you know how embarrassing this is? Aaron is going to be homeless because of you. Because of me? I'm not the one who spent her rent money on Mai Tais in Maui. That is not what happened. We paid for our own expenses once we were there. With what money? Mom? You haven't had any income besides Dad's pension and what I send you. Silence. Caught in the lie. I want you to understand something. I continued. I spent 2 years pouring everything I had into you. My time. My money. My energy. My emotional health. And you couldn't even be bothered to invite me on a trip I planned and paid for. So no. I'm not sending any more money. Not for rent. Not for bills. Not for anything. You're on your own now. This is abuse. She hissed. Financial abuse. We'll sue you. Sue me for what? For stopping giving you money that was mine in the first place? Good luck with that. We'll see what a judge thinks about your mental state. You're clearly unstable after your divorce. Maybe you're not capable of managing your own affairs. The threat hung in the air between us. She was serious. She was actually threatening to sue me for control of my finances because I wouldn't keep funding their lifestyle. You know what? Mom, do it. Take me to court. I'd love to explain to a judge exactly what you've been doing. She hung up on me. I should have been shaking. Should have been terrified. Instead, I felt lighter than I had in years. I poured myself a glass of wine. Made myself a real dinner for the first time in months. Pasta with fresh vegetables and grilled chicken. And sat down to eat at my kitchen table like a civilized person. The apartment was quiet. But it was a good quiet now. A peaceful quiet. Not the empty silence of loneliness, but the calm silence of solitude. I called Janet that night. She answered on the first ring. Lou? Oh my God. I've been so worried about you. You dropped off the face of the earth. I know. I'm sorry. I need to tell you something. Actually, I need to tell you everything. And I did. I told her about the money. About Hawaii. About everything. She listened without interrupting until I was done. Jesus Christ. Louisa, why didn't you tell me any of this before? I was ashamed. I thought I was helping them. I thought that's what love looked like. That's not love. That's exploitation. Do you have a lawyer? Do I need one? If they're threatening to sue you? Yes. Absolutely, yes. I'm texting you Daniel Price's number right now. He's the best family attorney in Buffalo. Tell him I referred you. Daniel Price met with me 2 days later. He was in his 50s, with graying hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. I showed him everything. The bank statements, the emails about Hawaii, the text messages, the canceled flight notification. He listened, made notes, and finally looked up at me. His not contract is very bad. Mercer. They have absolutely no case. You're a successful financial professional with a stable job and clear mental capacity. You chose to stop giving them money, which is completely within your rights. They have no legal claim to your finances. So the threat was just to scare me? Exactly. But here's the thing. They might actually file. Not because they'll win, but because they're desperate and angry. Be prepared for that. I am. Good. Because we're going to shut this down fast. The court summons arrived exactly 1 week later. A thick envelope with Erie County Court stamped on the front. My hands were steady as I opened it. Petition for guardianship. Petitioners Marianne George and Aaron Mercer request the court appoint a guardian to oversee the financial and personal affairs of Louisa Mercer, who they believe is mentally incapacitated and unable to manage her own affairs due to emotional instability following her divorce. I read it twice. Then I called Daniel. They actually did it. They're trying to get guardianship. Let them try. We're going to bury them with evidence of your competence. I need you to gather some things for me. Performance reviews from work. Bank statements showing responsible financial management. Any evidence of your stability. Over the next week, I compiled everything. My boss wrote a glowing letter about my performance and recent promotion. My therapist, who I'd been seeing since the divorce, provided a letter confirming I was of sound mind and dealing with my circumstances in a healthy manner. My bank statements showed consistent savings, no debt, and responsible spending. The court date was set for 3 weeks later. I spent those weeks in a strange state of calm. I went to work. I had dinner with Janet. I took a pottery class I'd always wanted to try. I lived my life like a person who wasn't being sued by her own family. Because that's what I was learning to do. Live for myself. The morning of the hearing, I dressed, carefully. A navy suit. Professional but not stuffy. Pearl earrings my grandmother had left. Me. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. She looked strong, confident, free. The courthouse was exactly as cold and imposing as I remembered from my divorce. Marble floors, high ceilings, the echo of footsteps and hushed voices. Daniel met me outside the courtroom. Ready? More than ready. We walked in together. And there they were. Mom in a fur coat that I'd probably paid for. Dad looking uncomfortable in a suit. Erin in designer sunglasses. Scrolling through her phone. And their lawyer. A thin man in a gray suit who looked about as enthusiastic as someone waiting for a root canal. The judge was a woman in her 60s with steel gray hair and reading glasses on a chain. Judge Morrison. She looked like someone who didn't suffer fools. Their lawyer went first, painting a picture of me as an unstable, irresponsible woman who'd abandoned her family in their time of need. He talked about my divorce like it was evidence of mental breakdown. He claimed my refusal to continue financial support showed erratic and vindictive behavior. I sat quietly, hands folded in my lap, and let him talk. Daniel had told me not to react, so I didn't. Then it was our turn. Daniel stood and approached the bench with a thick folder. Your Honor, what you're going to see today isn't instability. It's independence. My client is a successful financial analyst with over a decade of consistent employment at a prestigious firm. She has no debt, no criminal record, no history of mental illness. Her only crime was saying no. He laid out the evidence. My work performance reviews. Letters from my supervisor praising my clear judgment. Bank statements showing years of responsible financial management. My therapist's letter. Even a letter from Janet describing my character. Then he pulled out the bank records, showing every payment I'd made to my family over the past 2 years. The amounts were staggering when you saw them all together. Over $75,000. Your Honor, Ms. Mercer didn't abandon her family. She exhausted herself supporting them. And when they excluded her from a vacation she planned and paid for, she made the healthy decision to establish boundaries. That's not mental incapacity. That's self-preservation. Judge Morrison looked at the documents, then at my family, then at me. Miss Mercer, I'd like to hear from you. I stood, surprised by how steady my legs felt. Yes, Your Honor. In your own words, why did you stop supporting your family? Financially? I took a deep breath. This was it. The moment I'd been building toward. Because I realized I wasn't their daughter anymore. I was their ATM. A murmur went through the courtroom. For 2 years after my divorce, I supported them completely. Rent, bills, car repairs, groceries, everything. I thought that's what family did for each other. I thought I was showing love. My voice didn't waver. Then I planned a trip to Hawaii. I wanted to bring us together. To heal. To feel like a family again. I spent $22,000 on it. My entire savings. I researched every detail. Booked everything for 4 people. And sent them all the information. I looked directly at my mother. Her face was pale. 2 days before we were supposed to leave, I discovered they'd already gone. Without me. Without even telling me. And when I called to ask why, my mother said they'd gone already. And it was just for family. Judge Morrison's eyebrows rose. They went on a trip you'd planned and paid for. But didn't invite you? Yes, Your Honor. They removed me from the flight I'd booked and took my 3 family members without informing me. The judge looked at my mother. Mrs. George, is this accurate? Mom's lawyer whispered something to her. She nodded reluctantly. Yes. But, no buts. Yes or no? Yes. Judge Morrison looked back at me. Continue. Ms. Mercer. After that, I stopped sending money. Not to punish them, but because I finally understood what our relationship actually was. It wasn't love. It was a transaction. And I'd been bankrupting myself emotionally and financially for people who saw me as a resource. Not a person. A month after I stopped the payments, they called asking for money again. Not to apologize. Not to explain. Just demanding more money. When I refused, they threatened me. Then they filed this petition, claiming I'm mentally unstable because I won't keep funding their lifestyle. I felt tears prick my eyes, but I blinked them back. I've been in therapy since my divorce. Your Honor, my therapist will confirm I'm dealing with my circumstances in a healthy manner. I have an excellent job. I pay my bills. I have friends. I'm building a life I'm proud of. The only thing I'm guilty of is finally learning to say no to people who were hurting me. The courtroom was completely silent. Judge Morrison removed her glasses and set them on the desk. I've reviewed all the evidence submitted by both parties. Ms. Mercer's employment records are exemplary. Her financial records show careful management and consistent savings. Her mental health professional confirms she's stable and rational. There is absolutely no evidence of incapacity. She looked at my family with something that looked a lot like disgust. What I do see is a family that became dependent on Truction. Mercer's generosity and are now upset that the gravy train has stopped. That's not a legal issue. That's a personal problem. Mom started to speak, but the judge held up her hand. Mrs. George, I don't want to hear it. Your daughter supported you for years. She planned and paid for an expensive vacation. And you excluded her from it. Now you want the court to force her to keep supporting you? That's not how this works. Judge Morrison signed a paper and handed it to the clerk. This petition is denied. There is no evidence of incapacity. This case is dismissed. Ms. Mercer, you're free to go. The gavel came down with a crack that felt like thunder. I stood there for a moment, letting it sink in. It was over. They couldn't touch me. I'd won. Daniel shook my hand. Congratulations. You did great. I walked past my family without looking at them. But as I reached the door, I heard Aaron call out, Lou. Wait. Can we talk? I turned. All three of them were standing there, looking smaller somehow. Lost. There's nothing to talk about, I said quietly. You made your choice on that beach in Hawaii. Now you get to live with it. But we're family, Aaron said. And her voice actually broke. No, I replied. Family doesn't treat each other the way you treated me. Family doesn't exclude people and then demand their money. You wanted just family? You got it. The three of you can be family together now. Without me. I walked out into the afternoon sunlight. It was a beautiful spring day. The kind where you could almost believe winter was finally over for good. Janet was waiting on the courthouse steps. She'd taken the afternoon off to be there for me. Well? I won. She grabbed me in a fierce hug. Of course you did. Let's go celebrate. We went to my favorite restaurant. The one I hadn't been able to afford in 2 years. I ordered the most expensive thing on the menu and a bottle of wine. We laughed and talked for hours. For the first time in years, I felt like myself again. Over the next few months, I heard updates through mutual friends. Erin had to get a second job to cover her rent. Mom and Dad had downsized to a small apartment in a cheaper neighborhood. They were managing, but barely. I felt nothing when I heard these things. Not satisfaction, not guilt. Nothing. They were strangers now. People I used to know who'd made their choices. I sold some stock and used the money to take myself to Greece. 2 weeks wandering through Athens and the islands. Eating incredible food. Swimming in impossibly blue water. Watching sunsets from clifftop cafes. I sent postcards to Janet. To Daniel. To my boss. People who actually cared about me. On my last night in Santorini, I sat on my hotel balcony watching the sun sink into the Aegean. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Aaron. I know you blocked me, but I got a new number. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For all of it. You didn't deserve how we treated you. I understand if you never want to speak to me again. I read it twice. 3 times. Thought about what to say. In the end, I didn't respond. Maybe I would someday. Maybe I wouldn't. But that night, on that balcony, with the Greek sunset painting the sky in colors I didn't have names for, I didn't owe anyone anything. Not an explanation. Not forgiveness. Not money. Not my time. Not my energy. I was finally, completely, blissfully free. I moved to a new apartment that summer. Smaller than the last one, but with huge windows that filled every room with light. I took up painting. Discovered I was terrible at it, but loved it anyway. I joined a book club. Started running. Made new friends who knew me as Louisa. Not as someone's daughter or ex-wife or piggy. Thank. Just Louisa. My career flourished once I wasn't constantly stressed and exhausted. I got promoted twice in 18 months. Sterling & Associates made me a partner. I finally had enough money to live comfortably. Save aggressively. And occasionally splurge on things that made me happy. A year and a half after the court case, I ran into Dad at a grocery store. We both froze. Carts facing each other in the cereal aisle like some kind of suburban standoff. He looked older. Tired. Louisa. Dad. Long silence. Then, you look good. Happy. I am. That's good. That's really good. He paused. Seemed to struggle with something. I was wrong. About all of it. The way we treated you. I just wanted you to know that. I nodded. Okay. Is there any chance we could talk? Maybe get coffee sometime? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Maybe. Someday. But not yet. He nodded, looking defeated but not surprised. I understand. Well. Take care of yourself. Pumpkin. You too. Dad. We went our separate ways. I didn't look back. 2 years after Hawaii. On a cold November evening. I was home in my bright apartment making dinner when my doorbell rang. I checked the camera. Surprised to see a delivery person holding a large envelope. It was from a law firm. For a horrible moment, I thought they were suing me again. But when I opened it, it was something else entirely. A settlement offer. Aaron had apparently been in a car accident and was suing the other driver. Part of the settlement process required disclosing all debts. She'd listed the money I'd given her over the years as loans, not gifts. The opposing counsel was asking me to verify whether this was true and if I intended to collect. I called Daniel. What do I do? What do you want to do? I thought about it. I could say they were loans. Could demand repayment. Could make their lives even harder. And 2 years ago, right after Hawaii, I might have done exactly that. But now, they were gifts? I don't want anything from them. You're sure? I'm sure. Let it go. I signed the affidavit stating the money had been freely given with no expectation of repayment. Sent it back. And that was it. The last legal tie between us. Finally severed. Now, 3 years after that phone call from Hawaii, I'm sitting in my apartment on a Sunday morning. The sun is streaming through my windows. There's classical music playing. I'm drinking good coffee, the expensive kind, and reading a book just for pleasure. My phone sits on the table next to me. Silent. No desperate calls. No demands. No guilt trips. I have a date tonight. First one in a while. His name is Michael. He's an architect, and he made me laugh so hard at coffee last week that I snorted tea out of my nose. We'll see where it goes. I'm in no rush. Janet and I are planning a trip to Patagonia next spring. My treat. For both of us this time. Because I can afford it now. Because I want to share experiences with people who value me. Sometimes people ask if I regret cutting off my family. If I miss them. The honest answer is complicated. Do I miss the family I thought I had? The one that existed in my imagination? Where love was unconditional and support went both ways? Yes. I miss that family desperately. But that family never existed. What I actually had was a transaction disguised as love. And no. I don't miss that at all. I learned something important from all of this. Love shouldn't cost you everything. Real family, the kind worth having, doesn't require you to set yourself on fire to keep them warm. They don't measure your worth by your bank balance or your usefulness. I confuse sacrifice with love, silence with peace, obligation with family. But losing everything taught me something simpler and more profound than any of that. Family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by respect, by reciprocity, by people who show up for you the same way you show up for them, by people who would never, ever plan a trip without you that you paid for. Because the very idea would be unthinkable. They told me, just family. I learned that real family would never say that. Real family doesn't need your wallet to prove you're valuable. So I walked away. And in walking away, I found something they could never give me. I found myself. Which brings me to you. If you're listening to this story and you see yourself in it, if you have people in your life who only value what you can give them, not who you are, I need you to hear this. It's okay to walk away. It's okay to say no. It's okay to choose yourself. You don't owe anyone access to your life, your money, or your energy just because they're related to you. Blood doesn't entitle people to bleed you dry. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's survival. And here's the question I want you to think about. What would your life look like if you stopped funding other people's dreams and started living your own? If this story resonated with you, hit that like button. Subscribe for more real stories about real people finding their way to freedom. And comment below. Have you ever had to cut off family or friends who were taking advantage of you? How did you find the courage? Let's support each other. Because that's what real family does.